Welcome, everyone, to another exciting adventure with BoomerWorks. My name is Shira Lotzar. I am delighted to be your co-host today, along with my colleague, Michael Butera, and we are so excited to have Carlin Ankrum here. She is an expert in social media. She's the founder of OSnap Social, and she is backed by popular demand and here to tell you how to make your social media videos easy and overcome imposter syndrome and say yes, you can do these videos. Yes, you can. They are not as hard as you think. And she's got a really robust presentation for you, very interactive as well, and a lot of fun. So look forward to having Carlin join us. So Carlin, take it away.
Absolutely. Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining. I'm really excited to walk you down this path of creating maybe your first, maybe your second social media video. And a lot of it is easier than you think. And we're going to talk about all the things when it comes to the mindset that it takes, the mechanics, as well as at the end, we'll have some opportunity to take some action. But before we dive in, I want you to first and foremost remember that when you're creating any type of social media content, whether it is video or graphics, or just a really streamlined text caption on LinkedIn, you need to always keep your audience in mind first, because again, your content is about them. It's not necessarily about you. It's about sharing your expertise, your mission, your values that need to be shared. But sometimes, and I get it, I've been there, sometimes things get in your way. And for a lot of us, it is this thing called the imposter monster, or imposter syndrome is what we kind of hear a lot of it. Now, quick story for you. I have always been scared of this entire scenario, meaning public speaking. I know this is more virtual speaking, but sharing anything, even reading in class in elementary school, when I get called on, I would turn like a different shade of red depending. So this was my nightmare in a former life, should I say, until short form video became a thing and I realized I could share what I wanted to share in short sound bites without often like the pit sweat that comes associated with long scripts or daunting editing. Like, anyone else been there, right? Have we been there? We're just like, the editing, no thanks, unsubscribe. Like, I just won't do that anymore. But then again, as short form video became more and more popular, we're seeing it on Instagram and YouTube, and we're seeing a little bit more of that video show up on places where a lot of us hang out already, which is LinkedIn. It became, well, a little bit more of a noisy place. And imposter syndrome started maybe to creep in a little bit more than it had. Now, if I'm going to be honest, if the space was as noisy as it is now, 5 years ago, I might have totally given up. So the fact that all of you are here right now, growing, learning, showing up for yourself, and giving yourself the time and space to learn more about it, like, I just want to say how admirable that is, and just clap it up for you guys being here right here and taking this time for you, because full transparency, today, it's tough out there in the social media world. And especially with that whole inclination of imposter syndrome, which I guess is simply defined. I mean, I think it's way more complex than what's here on the slide, but it's self-doubt of intellect, skills, or accomplishments among, right, high-achieving individuals. Those of us who are starting businesses after having a full career, or maybe we're building a side hustle on what we do full time. So when we retire, we can really lean into what it is, our passion project, and get paid for it, which is kind of cool, like a win-win scenario all around. So quick poll, again, in the chat, if you wouldn't mind. Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? Just drop a Y in the chat if it's a yes. I'm seeing yeses. Yeah, we've all been there, right? Like you are not alone, right? And there's no doubt there's that vulnerability moment of showing up on social. Okay, so I think that's all this to say. You're not alone. We're all in good company here. And our quick agenda today is diving in deeper about how to build that confidence on camera for a place like social media where people are used to being entertained, but also understanding a little bit of that mechanics on the back end. How do you set up your proper space? And I'll walk you through also a signature batching content process that I use. And at the end, there's a giveaway for those of you who stay to the end and take a small action. Because I love action takers around here in my corner of the internet. And I hope this inspires you to do the same. So now, how do we gain more confidence? Well, we have to build that muscle. Just like when you're in the gym, you're lifting weights or you're jogging on the treadmill. The more we practice, the more we give ourselves time to ramp it up, the better we will be prepared for showing up regularly and with intention. Now, there are a few places that you can practice without anybody seeing your content. On Facebook, if you go to your profile and you're about to post something, there's an option right under your name to click the drop down and select only me. I use this feature all the time for graphics, for video, because I just kind of want to see what it's going to look like. And if I'm not sure something is going to look the way I want, I usually use this feature. Now, if you're like, I don't know, Carlin, I feel really good about creating the content, but it's kind of scary when I hit publish. Panic starts to take over. Again, not alone, in very good company here. But this is a great way to get used to publishing it, to taking that step where only you will see it. If you're like, maybe I only want to show it to like a few people. So maybe a few people in this room. You can select specific friends and only show it to a few of your friends, your trusted colleagues, your support system, your mastermind members, just so you can get more comfortable with showing up on video without showcasing it to the world. Instagram, similar scenario. You have two options on Instagram. You could go live, and if you go live, you can go live in practice mode, which I personally love because I don't know about you, live video freaks me out. Still, I'm like, give me short form video when I have to just say something in 15 seconds and let me get out of there. Live feels like a commitment. Live feels hard, especially if you're like looking at the number and no one's there. You're like, no one likes me, right? That is not the truth because that can live on forever. That being said, practice mode is great. If you're not sure how live video really works, if you've never tried it, that's a great place to try it. Another piece on Instagram, if you haven't played with it, is stories. You can create short stories. And if you go to your profile, you can hit like the plus icon. You can kind of see it's faded here in the background. And it allows you to record quick video in the moment, candid, non-scripted, just like, what are you doing, essentially. So today when I went on my stories, I was talking about, I was teaching a class earlier as well. I was sharing that I was about to go make dinner before I came and visited with you all. It was showing kind of behind the scenes. Now on LinkedIn, I don't have a slide dedicated to this. LinkedIn does not have a feature like stories, which disappear in 24 hours, and it doesn't really have a practice mode. So if you're going to test and try things in terms of video, I would test it on these two platforms first. Okay, so how do we overcome imposter syndrome so it doesn't feel like we're drowning? Here is a life preserver for you all. First things first is consistency is key. The more you practice something, the better you get, right? Same goes for storytelling. Same goes for creating video and content that connects with your audience. The first time I ever did a reel, it wasn't pretty. I think it literally was when Reels was first came out, which is short form video on Instagram. When it first came out, August 2020, I literally think my first reel was me like looking at a camera, playing music in the background that I randomly picked. And I like was pointing at the screen and I just added text. Like I had no idea what I was doing. And now it's become a little bit, I will say now it's become a little bit easier. And here's why. People want original video. They want you to share your expertise as a talking head, as a thought leader. From here up, like talk to the camera, tell them something cool that you just learned or something that you just shared or a takeaway. Or introduce yourself. Hint, hint, that'll be something later. You stay till the end, hint, hint. The next is create first, consume second. I tell all of my clients this, if you're struggling with any of that comparison syndrome, adopt this method. Create first, consume second. Because I get in my head when I'm looking at all the content, I'm like, oh, because there are a lot of social media people out there, but not everyone is attracting the audience I'm attracting. Not everyone is me, thank goodness, right? That there's only one of me. But I let all of that junk, that noise, clutter my thinking and doesn't allow me to show up how I know that I want to and need to show up. So this is like one of the bigger takeaways is create first on any platform, then consume, not the other way around. Next is condition your feeds. If you want more positivity in your feed, interact with more positivity on the platform. I give you full permission, not that you need my permission, to mute, hide, unfollow anyone or any brand that brings up that sense of ick and or makes you feel some kind of way like an imposter or like in that comparison zone. And listen, I have done this. In fact, I also just released over on Instagram. If you are on Instagram, I know we have a lot of LinkedIn folks here. I've actually went and my feed was cluttered with also condition your feels, Mary Beth. Also that. But it's one of those things where I just released a reel on adjusting your settings and privacy. So you can go ahead and check that out on my Instagram and how to hide the suggested content. So you see more of the people that you follow rather than content that is suggested to you. And that's really helped my feed because I was on there and I was like, where are all of my people that I follow? None of these people I follow. Instagram wants me to follow them. I don't wanna. So I wanted to hide that for 30 days. And you can do that. Continue to focus. Sometimes, of course, the day-to-day of it all, we lose our why we started our business, why we are in the field, why we're attracted to this particular passion project in the first place. And I think when we first start our business, we feel like very focused on our why. We know it, we understand it. And then somewhere we get overwhelmed with all of running the business or of, aligning it with doing it in between all the other tasks we have in our lives to do. So I always suggest continue to focus and revisit your why often. Because let's face it, right? We all have our own race that we are running or swimming, much like this one photo here of Michael Phelps winning his race at the Olympics. And I heard this from one of my coaches, her daughter, in fact, was in a swim meet, and she was actually winning by a few strokes. And instead of keeping her head down and swimming toward the goal, which for her was the wall, she popped her head up, looked around at everyone else, and she lost the race, much like this competitor here. Popped up, looked around to see that where everyone else was, and lost sight of their why, lost sight of where they were going and why they are doing what they're doing. And now, I say all this But I want to be clear, keeping your eyes on your own lane, yes, is important, and making sure you're looking at examples of what's working well for potentially your competitors, right? Is a smart piece of your strategy. Because our goal is to disrupt that, and really showcase your strengths, your message to the masses that resonate most with your audience. And if you hear a crying baby in the background, I apologize. That is my 18-month-old wanting more cookies. So a great way to do this is by defining 3 qualities that make you, you. The first is remembering to be real, remembering to be raw, and remember to be relatable. Now, I'm going to go through a few examples. And as I share it, some will be mine, some will be examples that I have found online. And the first is being real. Now, when I say real, I mean there's a level of authenticity that is essential in today's online world. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with this word, mainly because people in the marketing industry use it on repeat and it's exhausting. And it starts to like lose its meaning when, when everyone uses it. But it's about showing the true side of you and your brand. It's about being human, being as human as possible. And just like this example over here of me presenting to a room full of entrepreneurs, sometimes we trip, right? And sometimes we show up as ourselves, as the mom, as the grandma that you didn't know you needed, just like Brunch with Babs. If you don't follow Brunch with Babs, you should do so immediately. She started her account in the middle of the pandemic when everyone was craving that connection. And I believe it's her daughter, helped her start this account. If you look here, she has 3.3 million followers on Instagram. She has been on the Today Show. She is sponsored by Talbot's. She's winning. She has a cookbook. I should have worn her sweatshirt. I have like a sweatshirt that says brunch and then underneath it says with Babs on it. I have her cookbook. My mom and I love her. It's a great point where we get to connect. But I mean, how many times was she's like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. Da, 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 right? She is someone who found her lane, and that is family recipes. And she gives motherly advice, like how to load a dishwasher and things that like you thought you knew, but Babs is here to set the record straight. And she is on the Today Show, Good Morning America, for these things. Everyday things that people know. She's sharing it. And she's built a brand and built a business out of it with collabs and all the good things. So, and she started it, I think, when she was 73 years old, just for context. So no, the answer, if you're like, I'm too old for this, Carlin, the answer is no. That's an excuse. It's not. Raw and vulnerability. Now, this looks different for every single brand out there. I was looking for another example and I really was falling short. I think this is where, in a nutshell, people need to be a little bit more transparent. So being raw and vulnerable, a big piece of that for me in particular, this is a quick snapshot of me showing up unapologetic, my hair up after I worked out. You can see I'm in a workout tank top, and I felt called to share to my audience, who is mostly full of professionals and communicators, around my birth story of my little one, who, again, if you hear her crying in the background, I apologize for that. We're working on controlling our emotions. There is a thing where there is emotional and an entertainment side. Because if you think about it, people go to social media to be entertained. They go to social media to be entertained. Oh, thank you. They're my snowflake nails. Very on season for what we're experiencing. So sometimes that vulnerability can take on a more serious tone and an emotional impact, right? So it's defining what that line of vulnerability looks like for you. And I think one of the biggest questions I ask is like, Carlin, how do you blend the personal with the professional? Like, what does that look like? And the fact of the matter is, once again, it's different for every single person and every single brand. And I also want to say how I show up on Instagram is more vulnerable than how I show up on LinkedIn. Right? I'm not on Instagram, I'm going to show behind the scenes. I'm going to show, me and my kids sledding or rolling down the hill. On LinkedIn, I'm not going to do too much of that, and that's not because I don't show behind the scenes on LinkedIn. I just prefer to show different behind the scenes, like how I'm putting together this slide deck, what I have coming up as it relates to business, because for me and my audience, Instagram is there to entertain and show that I'm a real human with a life outside of business, with a little trickle of business in there. And LinkedIn is where I generate most of my business. And I've seen that through data and other things. And that's where I go to really, hit the nail on the head when it comes to creating more business-centric focused content. Even if it is showing vulnerability in terms of like me tripping over that, it was like a backdrop where it had a pole in the middle and I did not see it. And I just, so it's thinking about where that line is for you. Okay. So there could be the behind the scenes of an event, behind the scenes of you creating your next product, behind the scenes of, you just having a long day at your full-time work, for example, and then you go into entrepreneur mode. Like that's a whole thing. That's a big shift, right? And then the last part here is relatability. Think about why you share the content that you do. Because it's relatable, because you have something to say, and there typically is a commonality that is baked within the content that is brought to the forefront by the willingness of you as the creator. To be both vulnerable and authentic equals that relatability. Again, showing that you're a real human. So what I love is, this is Appian Life. Appian is a company here in the DC area that it was working on a recruiting strategy and building up their brand online. And they used Instagram to show behind the scenes of what it's like to live the hashtag Appian life. And what they did was they used this as a recruiting tool. And if you can see, it's kind of small, but here, this is the highlights of their Instagram in particular, because they know they have a whole LinkedIn strategy too, by the way, but they were looking to recruit younger Gen Z people to their company. And where do people, Gen Z, typically hang out more? Instagram. So these are highlights of, you can see it's like Jessica, Eddie, Kyan, Treyon, Josie, and someone, right? This shows behind the scenes a day in the life of this person at Appian. From what they eat, what time they get up, what they eat for breakfast, what work they do, what meetings they're in, their job roles, all of it. And it shows that they're real humans, just like the young people that are probably consuming the content, all for the goal of clicking on this link or going to their corporate account for job openings and employee blogs. This is their recruitment tool. I have not seen a brand do anything like this in a while. And I think it's super smart. Now, from an entrepreneur side, what makes you relatable is taking a stance on something within your industry. So for example, in social media, I don't know about you, if you're in other like Facebook groups or on LinkedIn, if people tag you in their posts and like it has nothing to do with you, pet peeve. I hated that. I hated when people did that. And so I kind of called that out in my Instagram stories and I did a poll on it. So this one that says like, this is like the third story, I think, in the thread, but it says, while we're at it, can we also talk about the at everyone tag in Facebook groups. It's because you'll get like a notification and you're like, I didn't even know I was part of that group. Who's tagging me and what? And people, it's like, do you love it? Do you hate it? You find it helpful? And a lot of people were with me in that they hated that part, that feature, because people were misusing it. Right? So what are some polarizing things within your industry or within your expertise that you feel really strongly about? And the reason why I say that is because you'll attract people to you who are for you and repel people away from you who aren't for you, therefore making it less scary to show up on social as authentically you. Because you're like, this is who I am, this is what I think, this is me. Take it or leave it. And what you'll start to see is your people will come to bat for you in the comments, in polls like this. So it's just something to think about as you go forward in your content creation, is that, you know, real, raw relatability. Another thing to kind of potentially add to your strategy for video content is things that maybe go in alignment with your brand. Now, for me, my brand is Oh Snap Social. And so that leads to people quite literally sending me, I don't know if you can see this card on my screen that I have up in my little box, my Brady Bunch box. One of my former business coaches sent me this Christmas card because on the inside, it says, Oh Snap, right? So anytime people see, hear, think of Oh Snap pickles, I've gotten people multiple times sending me pictures like, thought of you today, and like took a picture of a pickle. Like, cool. Right? I had someone send me a shirt from Southern Tides that had a crab on the back and it said, Oh Snap. This was a picture from me and my husband at Thanksgiving. My sister-in-law bought me an Oh Snap shirt and it had a wishbone on it. Right? But other people add things to their content, like they loved iced coffee when it's -7 degrees outside. It doesn't matter what temperature is, iced coffee is always the answer for them. And there's people that are like diehard fans of iced coffee. They'll come to bat. They'll like, that makes you a human. You know, if, you know, drinking from an 80-ounce huge water bottle every day is like your jam, and that's always seen in your videos, we were like, same, you know. And I think one wedding photographer, her name is, well, she used to be a wedding photographer. Now she's like a big internet person. Jenna Kutcher, if you know her or have heard of her, her thing used to be mac and cheese. And so people would literally send to her P.O. box different shapes of macaroni and cheese because they thought of her. Wild, right? But I say all this is because what makes you relatable about your brand or who you are? What's your one thing? What's the thing that people know you for as a person? Right? So just something to think about. And you can add that. And a great place to add these bite-size human elements is through short form video. Like a lot of times I'll have water in my video, or I'll have coffee in my video, right? I'll have that as part of it. And I can tell you, people are like, it's funny because people are like, what are you drinking? Or, oh, I see that Stanley. Like, okay, at least you watched the video, but could you give me some other takeaway, please, you know? But that's what people are realizing, but I'm being relatable to them. So all of that might seem very trivial, but I don't want you to make something up just for the sake of like, oh, Carlin says I need to go love something. That's like common. No. But what is your thing that people know you for? Share that. Get through that from a human element. Okay. Okay, before we get into that. Now, bonus points are disrupting trends that you see out there. Now, as we think about trends, we think about not necessarily public libraries. Public libraries don't seem all that like interesting and cool, or that they would be a really good resource for quality social media content. Au contraire, until you have met the Milwaukee Public Library. What I love about the Milwaukee Public Library is that if you were to look at their feed right now, here's just like a snapshot from, I guess, closer to October, there are different people in all of the videos, different ages, different ethnicities, different weird costumes, weird, like there's things always happening, something that's trending. But what I love about it is they never stray far from their message. Yes, they're leveraging trends, but they are disrupting them. Have you all seen the Barbie movie? Some of us? Okay. Well, for those of you who have seen it, this will translate. So this is the American Library Association office. It was something about like banned books, right? So let me just pull this. Trying to read as a kid in America, okay? So they're taking this scene from Barbie where Barbie's getting chased. And yes, this involves a lot more editing, which we don't need to do, but I'm just showing you that they're disrupting the trend. Amy's on you. I'll capture you. So again, disrupting a trend. This audio is trending because of the Barbie movie when it was released, and they adapted it to make it make sense for them. So as you're looking at trends and things, I don't want you always to be like, oh, I got to do a trend because it's trending and like I want to capture that. I want it to make sense for who you are and what your brand does and a message. So because I get asked a lot about trends, like does every audio need to be trending? And I think the best news for us as creators is a talking head will perform just as well as a trend because they're looking for original content. Now, how do we take action? I think the biggest thing is keeping it super simple. This is a good slide to screenshot just to kind of keep in mind as you prop up your next video. So one is focusing on what you can control, which is good light, natural light is best. If you have a tripod or even a stack of books is great. Quiet space and talking points. Notice I didn't necessarily say script. Talking points, sticky notes near your phone. I also have a slide here with how to set it up, as well as kind of my favorite tools. So you'll have those here in a minute as well. But editing tools, I love the InShot app, InShot. It's my favorite. It's really quick and easy, and I think it's like $4. There's a free version, but for $4, like to not have their watermark everywhere, I think is worth it. And then it's again leaning into who you are and how you're comfortable on camera. And again, that could be talking head, that could be going outside and doing it outside in your, on your porch with a cup of coffee. Like have it be comfortable for you and how you would, be having a conversation with a friend. I think that's something to keep in mind because you want, again, focus on who's on the other side of the lens because the content's not about you. It's about them and providing them as much value as you can. Because we want to focus less on what our competitors are doing, less about like doing it wrong, because can I be honest? There's no right way. There's only your way. And yes, there are like specific things to make it look better, which I just mentioned, but it's not a ton. And I want you to focus less on being like everyone else. You don't need fancy pants equipment. If you've got a phone with a camera, you're pretty much set. You don't need to spend hours writing a full script to make it perfect. It only leads to paralysis, and then you won't ever record anything because you're like, I can't get the words out. It doesn't make sense. And you don't need high-level production. That's one thing that I love about social media it is very forgiving because it requires you to show up as your authentic self, because customers, clients, consumers are are smart. They can see through all the polish these days. And I see your questions in here. I'm happy to look at those here in a moment.
Carlin, did you want to mention the teleprompter app?
Yeah, I have a slide here
Okay,
for
perfect.
in just a moment. Yep. Now, here's my little cartoon setup. So the idea of social media video setup is simple. One, have a tripod, and you can get them on Amazon for like less than 15 bucks. It doesn't need to be a lot. And then a natural window, a window with natural light coming through it. So like right now it is dark here in Virginia. I don't have my window, which is typically in front of me, illuminating light. And yes, I have a tripod that has a halo light, but I don't really like how that makes me look. So I will wait until when it's daylight out to film anything, right? You also have, this is like her desk, right? I'm no artist. Listen, this is like from Canva. And I'm sitting in front of it. I have a tripod, and then there's some sort of side light. What you don't want is what I currently have, which is a lot of shadow on my face, right? And a lot of the focus is in the background, not on me. So you just want to maintain that, you know, you're getting some good light in front of you, some good light to the side. Simple setup, nothing fancy. And your phone. Now I have the phone intentionally set up this way versus horizontal, because a lot of short form video these days on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram is formatted for a phone, which all of us use this way, vertically. So when you're shooting content, think about that. If you if you're shooting, say, YouTube content and want to clip pieces from that video and you want to film it this way, horizontally, make sure your phone is far enough away that if you were to clip the sides of it to be repurposed into Instagram or, you know, into a TikTok, whatever, that it's not cut and cropped. So it's just like someone basically looking up your nose. Because people still like to have distance between you inside their phone and themselves. And I think it used to be 4 feet. I feel like it's probably now 6 feet because of the pandemic, if I'm being honest, even through virtual.
So Carlin, Mary Beth was asking, so not from my camera. In other words, should she be recording from her camera or from a different app?
If you have a fancy camera, or just like if you're, or like a camera, like camera mode on your phone or from an app. I don't know if I'm tracking, because there's different ways to look at that question.
Mary Beth, do you want to open your voice and ask Carolyn the question?
Hi, yes, I actually am looking for my fancy camera.
Okay.
But it's one of these like very fancy cameras, and
Yeah, like the
it was,
DSLRs.
yeah, and
Yeah,
it was made for filming.
Yeah.
So I was just checking.
Yeah, I mean, if you have that, great. I think if you know how to get that from your camera onto your computer to edit if you need to, or onto your phone to edit, great. I am like, the less barriers to entry, the better. And my phone right now shoots in 4K video. So as long as I have enough space on there, I'm golden. And I also know that it'll be formatted, and with a click of a button, like in InShot, I'll be able to quite literally crop it for whatever size I need it to be. So the
I like
workflow,
this as simple as possible idea.
yeah, listen,
Thank you.
there's already too much happening. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think there's a time and a place for really fancy pants equipment. Like if you were like, I'm gonna do, you know, really professional looking YouTube videos, I'm gonna do 2 of those a month, and you're gonna okay, fine. But if you're just doing short form video for LinkedIn, or, you know, a 3-minute thing that you just thought of for Instagram, you don't need to schlep out all that equipment. You can literally just open your phone, prop it up on a set of books, and talk. So,
Christine wants to know, how do you get rid of the O-ring light reflections?
ooh, I love that. So a good tip, I don't have my, oh wait, no, I do have my blue blockers here that will help. So if you have the O-ring light reflections, what you do, and I learned this from one of my PR friends, is you actually take the corners of your glasses here and you tilt them up. Yeah, hey. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and so we do that for if people are on like TV too. And so you might need to adjust your, yeah, and it's not gonna feel comfortable for your glasses, but like from here, I don't see the O light as when you're looking directly at the camera as much as I was when it was like right on your pupil before. So you can adjust where the light is for that. But great question, but that's an easy little quick thing. If you're like, oh, it's driving me nuts. That's a really good, a good question to do, to ask. Let's see. Okay, so quickly the how. I recorded this on my phone just because I can't always rely on my dongle, but you hit the camera. Here's my messy desk. And you're going to slide over to video. And then you're going to flip it around right here. Hello. And then you'll notice it's already in 4K. You can go to HD as well if you're trying to save memory. You tap and hit record. You do your fun talking. And you click it to stop it. And then to find it, it saves in this lower corner here. And you're going to click on that. And then you can watch it again. If you need to go back to it for whatever reason, let me see if it'll go again. Will it go again? No, it won't. Or for me, hold on. I have, hold on 1 second. I just want it to go to the beginning. Half of my thing is covering it. Hold on. Okay, stop. So I have all my photos in here, but it's basically like a rainbow wheel, at least for iPhone. That's where your camera roll is, and that's where your content gets saved in case we weren't as familiar with like, okay, now I filmed it. Where the heck did it go? It went to your camera roll, and you can easily find that on your phone. If you swipe down, you can type in camera roll, and it could also show you that way. Now, video toolbox. Now, teleprompter app is one of my favorites, especially if I have more of a long-winded concept I'm trying to get across to people and I'm trying to teach people something from my video. Typically, I do not utilize teleprompters or a script, mainly because it makes me feel super robotic and like not showing up as authentically who I am. And you can kind of tell this if you were to watch like some of my YouTube videos, you can tell that like the ones that I've spent time scripting and practicing and you can tell. I'm a very much a verbal processor. I know this about myself, which is sometimes why a teleprompter is important, because I can go off on tangents, as I probably have already several times throughout this session. The other two here, I use InShot. Some people on my team use CapCut and they love it. I like InShot just because was kind of first on the market, and it makes it really, really easy to edit. With a tap of a button, you can literally change your video from square to vertical to horizontal, crop it, add transitions, add what is it, picture in picture, which basically means you can add your logo to your video on your phone. You don't need to open Canva. You don't need to open any other video editing app or program or figure out all of that. And then CapCut, a member of my team really loves CapCut for trends, to like see what's trending, because there'll be video memes that kind of show up. And so she likes it for that. And it makes utilizing some of the trends that are relevant for our clients more accessible. So that's where she likes it. Glide Gear. I don't know what that is, Mary Beth. Is that like an app? Or is that like a camera?
It's this.
Hold it in front of your face so I can see it. Is it this?
Zipper?
Nope.
It looks like this.
Nope. It's okay.
Mary Beth, you're gonna have to take off your virtual screen, your virtual background in order for her to see it.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
1 second.
I love your beautiful green background. Now it matches your sweater.
Thank you. Yes. All right. Now it's on blur. If this will work. Mhm.
Not quite, still blurry. I think
Yeah.
if you took off blur, she'd probably see it. But anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know if I know how to do that.
No worries. Well, when you're figuring that out real quick, I'll just answer Christine.
Yes, keep on. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Christine had a question is, if I ever use GoPro camera, could those types of apps be used for editing this type of camera too? Yeah, so as long as the footage is on your phone or on like some type of device that you can edit from, like it should work on those. And because these are strictly phone, like apps for phones. If you have other editing needs, like on a desktop computer, there are other editing tools. You can even edit video in Canva. I don't know if you guys use Canva or know what Canva is, but Canva can do literally everything these days. It's really powerful. I've edited reels on there. I've edited video. I've edited presentations that have video. This presentation I put together on Canva with all the fancy thing. I mean, it's really great and simple to use. So, yeah, great. Okay, Mary Beth, any luck?
I think it's
Your camera is off at the moment.
Dan. There.
There you
I
are.
think it is a teleprompter of some kind.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
So it looks like it projects upwards. That's really fancy.
yes, it's
Cool.
been under the desk for a while, but
Well, dust it off, girl.
Sure, I do agree in terms of using talking points
Yeah.
versus having something written out. I think there's more chances for ahs and ums when you do that versus just your bullets.
Yeah, absolutely. And something too for you guys, it's not on this slide, but it's something that I'm considering adopting for some of my video content is Descript, like DESCRIPT, I think is literally how you spell it. And what's really cool about that is it's an AI tool of sorts, but you can add your video and it will edit out all the ums, the ahs, all the filler words automatically within seconds. It is bananas. The other piece that it does is if you are not looking directly at the camera, it will shift your eyes so that it looks like you're looking directly at the camera. Also insane. And then the other thing that me as a social media person is more hype about is the potential of taking long form video, whether it's an 8-minute video, 10-minute video, 1 hour long training, and being able to press a button and it bloop, bloop, clip out all the sound bites, the aha moments from that clip automatically without me having to go, okay, what timestamp was that? Was that okay, yep, okay, cut it here. Okay, write down the timestamp, go back, edit it. You can literally boop, press a button. Now, of course, this is a paid tool, but if you are leveraging video regularly, it might be something to consider. Again, I haven't adopted it. Call me, traditional. I want to be in control. But I think it's a really, really great tool, and it's something that I'm excited to potentially utilize, towards like the end of the year. Have I ever made a video using Canva? Yes, many a time. I will tell you that most content that resonates on Canva, you should still use yourself. That being said, I've seen lots of brands utilize their free video content with text over top to make a quick video on Canva. Super simple. Okay, how are we doing on time? I just want to make sure we're tracking.
We're good. We've got about a half hour.
Beautiful. Okay, so now there is an art to batching, because batching means you're saving time, you're saving your sanity, which I love personally. And to do that, you need to batch often. Now, of course, batching is easier said than done. And so I want us to talk about cookies for a minute. And I know we were talking about this before everyone joined cookies in general, but let's think about cookies for a moment. If you're getting a cookie craving, chances are you're not going to get all the ingredients out just to whip up one cookie to satisfy the craving, right? You're going to make an entire batch. And the same applies to content creation, right? The art of batching your content means to simply create a significant amount of content in one sitting. So let's just say you'd like to post across your social media platforms every, I don't know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But, sitting down daily to create that content is like, I don't have that time, right? That's something that we all hear. I don't have time for social media. It's like feeding the beast, right? Have we all heard something to those effects, right? We need to focus on the time that we do have and utilize it to the best of our ability. Because after all, we have business to run and other pressing tasks that tend to show up on the regular. So why not schedule a time during the day, or a day of the week rather, specifically for content creation? It can be an hour and you can crank out all the content you need for the week. And the way that you could do that is this. You have to make a plan. Doesn't need to be like a multi, 10-step plan. You can utilize just 3. Define what your content mix is. What is a content mix? It's what are your pillars? What do you want to tell people? And a great thing to start with first are these: educational, which kind of is that informational aspect where you're educating someone on something that you're an expert in. Behind the scenes is one, and empathy is one. Emotion, really pulling at the why you do what you do, the results that you've given to people, and how that's transformed their lives, good, bad, or otherwise. I mean, not bad, obviously. We want all good stuff. And those are the 3 great ones to start with. Do you need to do all of them? No, just start with one and go from there. But I want you to think about this. And for some of us, we feel better doing, planning for a month, right? That's what I do for myself and my clients. I prepare for the whole month and then I create the content. You can just do, like I said, 1 hour a week. What am I posting? You could do Monday could be educational, Wednesday could be emotion and empathy, and Friday can be behind the scenes of what you did that week, what you're looking forward to next week. That can be what you handle. And then you can also see, with kind of having that variety, what's really resonating with people. And again, we're talking about video content. And then the final piece is putting time on your calendar to get it done. And a big part of knowing when to put it on your calendar is this level of self-awareness. Now, whether you are, the head honcho or you're building your business on the side, of course, it requires discipline and a dose of that self-awareness to know when you're most creative, right? When you've got the creative juices flowing, when you have the energy. Because I will tell you, what makes video really challenging for some of us is the level of energy that we have to have in order to show up the way that we want to show up. I can tell you, when I've recorded video in the evening, even though I'm like maybe up like this and really, on, while still being myself, because let me tell you, I'm very much like an excited chihuahua in real life as well. Okay. Like I'm very much that high energy person. But video, there's something about video, and I learned this from one of my PR friends who does a lot of media training for TV and things. When you're recording video, you have to be almost like 1 or 2 notches above your normal energy level in order to hit your actual baseline energy level. And I want you to test that theory and be like, Carlin, I don't know if that's true. Like, let me just test and see if you're right. I will tell you, if I'm like showing up as myself, well, that sounds wrong. If I show up with my normal level of energy and not like a little bit more elevated, I almost sound like this on my videos. Versus in my brain, I know that I'm up here. Da, da, da. I want people to be excited to watch my content. That's how I want to show up. That's part of my brand. That's who I am. But if I'm sounding like this, I don't know if anyone's going to be attracted to what I have to say. But that is my brand. I also know people, what is it? I don't know if you guys are into like holistic stuff. I don't think I was until I saw this person. She's like a Reiki master or something. Let me see if I can find her. The Sacred Lotus. Literally all she does is do reels with energy flowing. That's literally all she does with music in the background. That is her vibe. And everyone in the comments, this one that I just showed you had 29,000 people like it. Insanity. And her captions are very short. Please accept this Reiki for good health. Release what's no longer serving you. Use affirmations, blah, blah, blah. And she has thoughtful comments underneath, right? Hello. Like, I don't know how to say it, but your energy is felt in the distance. I wonder why people write bad comments. This person's awesome. Like people are coming to bat for her. And what's interesting is she's not saying a thing, but she knows when she is feeling most in line with what she does so that she can show up the best for her people. Right? So time of day is huge. Knowing when you are the most creative and what I call like in flow, so that you can build it out. For me, it's the morning. Before I've answered an email, before I've sent a direct message, before I've ever, talked to anybody, really. Before the noise of the day gets infiltrated into my brain, I need to do content for me. If I wait till after 3 o'clock, few things are at my disadvantage. 1, the sun is going down, so I don't have my beautiful natural window. And 2, that part of the day is when I feel the most tired, where I feel like my brain is cluttered and cloudy. So find what works for you. Next is understanding when is enough enough? How much content is enough? And it could be, well, I only want to post 2 times a week, Carlin. Okay. So maybe you only need 8 pieces of content for the month. And maybe one of those per week is a video. So then you really only need 4 videos. Again, I know it's easier for me to be like, okay, Carlin, only 4 videos. That seems like nothing. But also it's a lot if you haven't consistently been recording video. And I understand that wholeheartedly. The next is putting it in your schedule when you feel in alignment that is reoccurring and make it a non-negotiable. Because overarching, as I mentioned, the goal is to be in flow to make it as easy as possible to create content. Because I will tell you, once you create 1 or 2 videos, you can make 2 others in half the time it took you to make the first one. More practice, building the muscle, the easier it becomes.
Carla, Sadaf had a question about how about faceless videos to just pass your content, or is it very necessary to have you shown on the videos?
So can I meet you on the in-between? I would say you need to show your face on video. That being said, what's growing in popularity right now, and it could all change because listen, social media, the only thing constant is change. You can do B-roll content with something over top. What do I mean by that? Literally, It could be, let me see if I have anything. Do, 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 do. Okay, here we go. There's something, I have even like a typo on this, but there's something powerful about being in flow. It's literally me typing in this office on my keyboard. I'm not saying anything. It's just music and I have something on the screen. That's all it is. So if you're like, if you're a maker, like you make something, you could have a camera over top, like your phone over top, and you're literally making the thing. Here's another example. What is her name? Oh, here we go. Yes. Sometimes I love when things happen. So this person is my friend who, she is a maker. Can you guys see this? She makes like flowers, like paper flowers. And to wrap them, she uses a bobby pin and a drill gun to make it. This is her video. That's all it is. Just that. Wrapping it in, folding it, gluing it over and over and over again. Now, how many views do you think that one got? Where did it even go? I think it's over 1 million, but let me just, why doesn't it show it at the top? Well, here's one that she recently did, and I'll just show you this one because this is similar video. Literally, it's like the same one, just different, like color. It's like a purple flower. She glues it and she shows it to you. The end, like literally. It has 105,000 views. It has, and it also, I think it got shared by like British Etsy or something, UK Etsy. And so I say all this to say, thank you, yes, that faceless videos work if it relates to your content. If it's showing people what you do, if it's, you know, behind the scenes where, you know, it could even just be if you're typing something new, it could literally be your hands typing something. Test, experiment, try, I think is the biggest takeaway here. Awesome. Beautiful. Okay. Now, repurposing. I'm a big fan of identifying, you know, what type of video is easy for you to create. If it's long form, great. You can chop it up and make other pieces of content. For me, my anchor piece of content is blogs. I love writing. My background's in journalism. I love writing. It comes easy. It flows. It's natural. I then create videos out of my blog content, short form, long form, and then I disperse them across all of my platforms. Using just repurposing alone, I've been able to create quickly 15 to 30 pieces of content on my own without using AI in less than 4 hours. Now, I do this all day, every day. My muscle is big for this type of strategy. But that doesn't mean if you are creating a long form video that you can't crop the beginning and put it on Instagram and tell people to go click on your YouTube from your Instagram or click from LinkedIn over. So I want you to be thinking about like, what is your anchor piece of content and how can you repurpose it into a video, whether it's short form, whether it's long form, you know, whether it's behind the scenes. And just to kind of share with you, I think I might have done this actually recently. I went and I shared a story about my class earlier today. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to take that same message I shared in the story, download my story from Instagram and put it up on my LinkedIn. That's exactly what, and I put up the video on my LinkedIn and I added a caption. I was like, you know what? My audience on LinkedIn would probably want to know this too. So I gave it a little bit more context. And that's where I repurposed it. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I should probably put that on YouTube Shorts too, because YouTube has short videos in there as well. So thinking about what is your anchor content and how else can you get that content dispersed across different platforms that relate to where your audience is already hanging out. This is a lot of stuff, but hopefully it's, you know, you're pulling from what makes the most sense for you. I think with anything on social media in general is you have to always be curious. You have to like be willing to put on your lab coat, roll up your sleeves, and prepare to kind of disrupt the status quo in a lot of ways, even if sometimes things blow up in your face. So making sure that you have that and you're willing to test and tweak, because just because something works for, you know, someone else in your industry doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So as you go forward in batching your content, your video content, really think about the simple ingredients of understanding where you're at, that self-awareness piece, how you're going to repurpose that content, and add a little dash of curiosity. That could really create a really tasty batch of content. So with that, I'll leave you with this and some action. Are you guys ready? Do you guys have any questions? I'm sure this feels like a lot. So a little bit of like mindset, a little bit of how to, and a little bit of like extra strategy poured on here. Okay. So before we get into the action, I want you to remember progress over perfections. Yeah. Yeah, Mary Beth. Yeah, same. I see makers on YouTube pasting in many still images into their posts. So, I mean, if that's the video that works for them, then cool. I personally would rather see moving picture, like moving video of them making their thing, rather than just a slideshow, essentially. You know, it's just not as, you know, if you're looking to share like a portfolio, I think that makes sense of like what people could purchase from you. But people want to kind of see behind the scenes of like how the soup is made a little bit, you know. But I also know makers are very protective of their processes as well, you know. So all that to say. So let's take some action. Go ahead and screen grab this because I'm going to want you to keep this and take some action on this. So do you guys know Mad Libs? Remember it's like, you know, the car game and you're like in the car and it's like, fill in the verb, fill in the adjective, fill in an action item, or fill in a thing. And you're like, okay, this is Mad Libs, but for a social media sample script. This is an introduction video. Now, you hear potentially a lot of social media folks say, every video needs a hook, and they're not wrong. You need to come up with a hook, and here's some ideas here in that purple box. It says, did you know that? What if I told you? Listen up. I don't know who needs to hear this, but fill in the blank. Welcome to blank. This video is for, and then tell who it's for. And then, or you could literally say, attention, so-and-so, aka your ideal audience. That is how you can start your videos, and then you lean in right into, hi, my name is, and you say who you are. I'm the blank of blank, title with your company name. We and or I help with, who do you help? With what? Either the product, service you sell, in order to solve their pain point, the problem that you've identified, their challenge, and in order to blank and blank. And the second blank there is the transformation you create. To learn more, visit my website, or follow me for more tips, or visit my Etsy shop, or, you know, what do you want to see me make next? Or what is one of your favorite family recipes if you're talking about food? I'm just thinking like Babs, right? So with that, I want you to take action on this. I want you to film a 30-second intro video. It can be longer than 30 seconds. I'm just trying to like make you not, it doesn't need to be 2 minutes long. I want you to take action. And I want you to post it on Instagram. You can, and tag me in it. If you're on LinkedIn, you can tag me on LinkedIn. And shoot, I don't even care if in the caption you blame me that I made you do it. That's fine. Blame me. I'll take it. I'll take the heat, right? Because I want to see your work. And the first person to take action on this in the next 24 hours will win a complimentary 1-hour strategy session with me. This is $150. This is something that I do not share to the public because, one, it's too low, and two, I have time that I spend with my clients, not one-on-one anymore with people. So I don't coach individually. I don't offer this to the public, but I'm willing to do that for you because I want you desperately to take action on this. Okay. So the first person who does this tags me. So you have to do the @ symbol and tag me, OSNAP Social Carlin on Instagram or on LinkedIn. And if you have Facebook, like a Facebook page, you can also tag at OSNAP Social on Facebook. That's my business page. And the first person I see that does that and takes that and utilizes this script and or even makes it better, if you would like, I will give you a 1-hour free strategy session to ask all the things, to pick my brain, all that good stuff. Okay, so if you didn't already screen grab, and I will say the odds are in your favor because there's not many of us on the call, so you win the awesomeness. Yeah. Okay. So share it. If you're like, Carlin, 24 hours, I got things to do. I got people to see. I got dinner to cook. I hear you. Right? If you want to just schedule a 1 hour with me, fine. Again, I don't offer this to the public. It's not on my services page. You won't see it there. It's not there. If you want this, you can click the link. I think I'm open starting in March for these types of sessions. I have a few days in February and January to tackle this, but March is looking a little bit more open. So go ahead and you can scan this with your phone, or if you're like, I don't know what that means, you can visit this website here, schedule.osnapsocial.com. I'll even put it in the chat. One moment.
Actually, Christine asked how to use screen grab. There's actually 3 ways to do it. You can either just hit the print screen. I'm on a PC, by the way. I don't know Macs. On a PC, you can hit the print screen button, which is on the top buttons of on the far right side of the top of your buttons. And then you just paste that into a Word document. Or you can hit at the bottom of your computer on the left side, there's a little Windows button. It's next to the function key. You hit the Windows button, Shift, and S. And then that will bring up the snipping tool and you can just grab it or just take a picture with your phone. That's the easiest
That's
thing.
what I want you to do. Just open your phone, open the camera, like
just snap
the
it.
camera, and hover, like hold it up to your screen and it'll come up with like, you're leaving the camera function. Okay, cool. And you tap on it and it takes you there. Or if you're like, I don't know any of that, Carlin, I also put the link in the chat. And if you have any other questions, I always say, like, I know this is dangerous, but we're amongst friends here. My inbox is always open, so you can always email me at hello@osnapsocial.com, and either myself or my assistant Amy will be there to help guide you in the right direction. That's all I have for today.
Great. And just one other quick question. Mary Beth asked, what are hashtags or multiple hashtags together? Not sure about the multiple.
That seems like a typo, but like if you like, hashtags are important on social.
I mean, when someone says hashtag lifestyle, hashtag longevity, hashtag Mary Kay.
Oh, yeah. I got you. So with that, and I'll just take this off. Well, I'll keep it up. Why not? Just in case people want to grab it. I'm like, okay. So hashtags are important because it helps make your content more discoverable. And on LinkedIn, I think best practices is 3 to 5. Instagram, you're allowed 30. There's multiple people out there saying, oh, you only need to do 5. I'm going to use 30 if that means I get to show up more and be discovered more. Until the data shows me otherwise, that's what I'm subscribing to. Facebook, again, 3 to 5. And people utilize specific hashtags so that they show up on people's feeds who are looking for those specific keywords or hashtags.
Yeah. So for example, if I were posting something about BoomerWorks, which I do sometimes on LinkedIn, I might, write my little content. And then at the bottom, I would go something like hashtag 50 plus or hashtag self-employment or a few of those kinds of things, just so that if somebody's looking for those hashtags, hopefully they'll find the post.
Yeah, and I might do like social media strategy, social media tips, social media training, but I'm also going to focus on what my people are searching for. So I serve a lot of like speakers and coaches and authors. So I'm going to use tags like hashtag author life, hashtag what is it? Speaker life. That like really took too long to come up with. Hashtag professional trainer. I also would maybe use hashtag event profs because a lot of event people are also following speakers. And they're like an in tandem audience to my speakers. So it's not just thinking about what you are and who you are and what you offer, but what is your audience utilizing and following on their side as well.
And Caroline, I know we're basically, out of time. We're about 10 minutes to out of time. And I know this is a whole other topic that we didn't really get into, but you touched on a little bit, and that's actually what topics to use in developing content. So a content development question. I know you touched on it, a little bit of emotion and education and things, but in terms of, thinking through at a high level, of course, because we don't have a lot of time, how to think about what kind of topics might be relevant for their audience. Now, they might be in a B2B business, B2C, right? Selling to businesses or selling to consumers. And of course, you've got lots of people here who are doing different kinds of things. So any sort of top level kinds of tips for creating content?
I think if you're at the very beginning, I would try as much of different angles as possible. Leaning into, again, having a variety of coming up with like pillars or silos or whatever you want to call them, topics. And I think, again, every company, every business, whether it's B2B, B2C, will have their own pillars. And so it's really hard to answer that question without really diving into people's businesses. So I think that's why I was like, here's the top level of like thinking about the different pieces of why people buy. Some people buy with their logistical mind, right? Like they want to know the numbers. What's the ROI? What's the transformation I can expect? Show me other people who have taken a chance on, excuse me, your service, your product. Show me those testimonials. Then there's the other people who are like, how are you going to solve my pain? How are you going to solve my problem? Right? And they buy and they lean in with their emotion. And it's finding those things that resonate with your audience. So for me, it's a lot of people are overwhelmed by social media because they're like, I'm allergic. I don't want to do it. It takes too much time. I have a business to run. I don't have time to play on social media all day when it's constantly changing. Right? And they're out there feeling left out because they're seeing their competition or other people in their industry out there showing up consistently, and they feel like maybe they are falling a little bit short, and they just want to get a handle on it. They want to plan, they want to go forward. And it all starts with making it as manageable and consistent as possible for yourself. And again, start with one platform, start with 2 max. Do those really well before you expand. And same with the amount of days that you post. Be consistent. Is it 2 days a week? Is it 3 days a week? Is it 5 days a week? Like for me, I'm lucky I get 3. Because the last thing I want to do at the end of the day is my own content, being honest. But for me, showing up on stories on Instagram is super easy. Posting 1 post a day on LinkedIn is easy because I can post a text only over there. I don't need to like craft anything crazy. I can do a 1-minute video. That's me waiting for my dinner to be done in my kitchen, and people accept that. As long as I'm saying something smart, right? So I think we all have to give ourselves grace, but like really think about what resonates with your audience. What as you're having calls with people, as people are buying from you, what are the words that they're utilizing? And reframe it back to them in your content.
And along those lines, thinking about what are the problems keeping them up at night that relate to your business. So for example, some of you may know that I am in my regular business when I'm not volunteering for BoomerWorks.
Yep.
One of the things I do is I'm a career coach. I write resumes and LinkedIn profiles and do job search strategies and all these things. And so one of the many common questions I get is, why does my resume go into cyberspace, right? So I could do a post that says, hey, ever wonder why your resume goes into cyberspace? And then I'd answer it, right? Because it's a frequently asked question, and there are a lot of them like that. So think about any frequently asked questions that
that's a great place to start.
Yeah, yeah. Either that your customers are already asking you, or if you've just launched, just imagine what's the problem that you're solving, because you have to do that for your business model anyway. So just go ahead and walk a mile in your customer's shoes and frame it like have you ever wondered why?
Yeah. And that goes back to like the hook, right? Goes back to the hook.
So along those lines, first of all, thank you, Carlin.
Yeah.
Appreciate you very, very much. And Carlin has, like I said, she's been backed by popular demand. And if you want more of the social media stuff, in 2 months' time, remember Carlin referenced the Instagram Reels? Well, in 2 months' time, we have a colleague of Carlin's. Her name is Lisa Nichols. She's also a social media maven. And she's going to be doing a video, a webinar here on how to create Instagram Reels specifically. In fact, she's calling it the real story, right? And then just as a preview of coming attractions, Carlin and Lisa are going to join up. And we are hoping, praying that maybe over the summer, we're going to actually do a little bit of a social media boot camp for a little tiny fee. Not sure what it'll be, something, a little bit of an investment, where we can do more of a workshop. The two of them can do a little more of a workshop and kind of dive in and get into it with you, not just give you theory, but a real practical thing. So we're anticipating that. We're going to be talking about that over the spring. Okay. And for those of you who are new to BoomerWorks, wanted to share with you our little website and where we hang out. So this video, along with many others, can be found on our training center tab. So you go to boomerworks.org, go to the training center tab, and go down here. We have lots of different topics. Marketing your business is where this one is likely going to go. And you can just scroll down and you can avail yourself of all of this wonderful content from people like Carlin. On all branding and marketing and all these different things, right? They're about always an hour and a half, long videos, and just at your leisure, you can find that there. If you want to find out what our future meetings are, just go to the meetups tab, go to the upcoming events, and here you go. Here's tonight's topic. And then down here at the bottom, you can see future ones that we have already booked out. We try to book out at least 6 months in advance with speakers. If you know of a great speaker who could talk about any aspect of self-employment, feel free to email me, or I apologize. Email me. I'm going to put this in the chat. So here you go. Shira Lotzar, shira@purposefulhire.com. And the last thing I wanted to ask you is if you, I don't know how many of you just heard about us through Meetup, but if you want to actually get our monthly emails, we won't spam you, just a couple times just to let you know about this event. Go to our join button on our BoomerWorks site, join our community, quick little form, and you can subscribe to our mailing list. And we would love to have you join our community. All right. So thank you everyone for your time. And thank you, Carlin, again. Fantastic. Appreciate your wisdom and insights. And we'll look forward to seeing everyone hopefully next time.
Sounds great. Thanks, everybody.
Have a blessed day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.